after the many comments I got of people sharing their own opinion on what vehicles are forgotten when I was talking about that topic in a video, I thought why not make a part 2, include some of those vehicles, and include some that I personally think are also forgotten. Now in total there's going to be 25 on this list, so let's get started. First up we have the ETR1. This came out around Cunning Stunts that actually released with that update, and this was kind of the one car in my opinion that was the outlier. It was a lot bigger than the other cars, like as in like it's a lot wider, fatter, like it just didn't look as good as the other ones. It also was beside the RE7B, which had a speed glitch when it released, so naturally that one kind of had the most attention. And then the Tyrus, I just feel like that one looked a lot better and sounded a lot better, so the ETR1 in my opinion just kind of got forgotten, and it is also a removed vehicle, so many people probably also forgot about it that way as well. Next up we have the Cheburek or the Cheburek. I'm not sure how you say this, but it's the vehicle that can get cardboard modifications, the only one in the game. This vehicle is also removed off of the website, so naturally people are going to forget about it, me included, and didn't have a whole lot going for it outside of the cardboard modifications. I do believe it's based off of a Lada, and that's really it. We do have one vehicle a lot of people had to remind me about, so I naturally forgot about it. It's the Guardian. I own one of these now. It is luckily not removed off the website, so anyone can purchase it. And I've said this in a lot of past videos. This thing was way ahead of its time. When it released, probably the most detailed, best looking, and the most realistic performing vehicle in the whole game. The smokestacks, the things on the side, which I'm not sure if they're supposed to hold like gas or just act as side steps, the suspension, the boxes in the back, people can even sit in the back of this thing. It just had so much detail going for it, but because it released all the way back in 2015, probably not a lot of new players even know about it, and it doesn't get a whole lot of attention. Now we have one vehicle that had so much potential but just got let down because Rockstar doesn't let you tow any vehicles, this being the Wastelander. It released with import-export alongside like the Ruiner 2000, the Ramp Buggy, the Phantom Wedge, so it had a lot of competition, and to be honest, it didn't really perform as great as those vehicles, but I still think this vehicle looks great, performs amazing off-road, and you can even use it for like some montages of like towing vehicles. Of course, you can't attach a vehicle to it, so it'll probably fall off trying to do that. But this is such a unique vehicle. I do believe it is based off of the vehicle that was used in Fast and Furious 5 when they were trying to steal a vehicle off of the train, but it's still unfortunate that you can't use it for its purpose. This might be a curveball, but I'm going to do the Terrorbyte. Everyone probably owns one of these if you have the Oppressor Mark II because you need it to customize it. But the reason why I'm saying this is because the purposes of the Terrorbyte, one is to house the Oppressor Mark II. So once you get the Mark II and the Terrorbyte, all you need to do is use your interaction menu or your mechanic. So don't even need to worry about the Terrorbyte anymore. And two, it was also used for businesses. And it also had other missions attached to it like the diamond robbery. Problem with that is the businesses, there's already other properties that do its job way better where you can buy, sell, and pretty much everything in between, like the master terminal. That can control every single business in the game, whereas the Terrorbyte is limited to like import-export, biker businesses, and hangar. Pretty much those. And then with the missions that are tied to it, like the gold robbery, the diamond robbery, and I think there's like a data breach robbery or something. Those missions don't really pay that great nowadays. But now the Terrorbyte kind of just sits there and collects dust in a lot of nightclubs. One vehicle I surely thought was going to be removed is the Specter Custom. This is a Benny's vehicle, and I believe that it has one of the nicest and cleanest wide bodies out there. The fitment is perfect, the wide body is perfect, the customizations look so damn good, but this car didn't really have anything going for it outside of that. The performance wasn't really great. There just wasn't anything that was showing of this car other than how it looks. While I was making the most unique features about vehicles, the Caracara was a vehicle that I came across again because it is a 6x6 in the game and it has a machine gun on the back. This kind of came out at a weird time as well. I think it was around after hours, so it had a lot of competition. I don't think it can survive any explosives, doesn't have bulletproof windows. All it has going for it is the gun in the back, and that's kind of the problem with it. The gun in the back should be removable, because if that was removable, this truck would be amazing. It's a 6x6. There's only like one other truck being the Dubsta that is like a personal vehicle you can store in a normal garage. Outside of that, every other 6x6 you can't store in a normal garage. Now we have the Menacer. This is not removed, and this was a vehicle people told me to include. It too is in a weird spot where there's other vehicles that just do its job better, and it also came out at a weird time. Its whole gimmick was to be similar to the Night Shark, where it could survive a lot of rockets. It even has a gun on the top, but I believe it's a lot slower than the Night Shark. Its handling isn't really that great. The customization is like kinda there, but not really at the same time. It just is kind of very underperforming compared to a lot of vehicles that do the similar job than it. Now the thruster. I know this vehicle is utilized by a very select few amount of people. The professional is one of them. He always used to say the thruster was very good at doing its job, which it is. It is a very good vehicle. It can even outrun rockets. That's how fast it is. But the problem with it is not a lot of people even know how to use it, myself included. I have no idea how to maneuver this thing well. I don't know how to use it in fights or anything like that. And when you have things like the Raiju, this just doesn't really have a good place in GTA Online. It isn't removed. And if you disagree with me on this, I completely understand, but I just never really seen a lot of people use this thing, so I don't really know how many people actually remember it. The part that is removed is the Feltzer. You're going to see a lot of NPCs drive this vehicle, and I remember way back in the day, like 2014 or 2015 when I first got this game, there was a lot of people that owned it. Even in older GTA videos, you'll see a lot of people own this car. And it had the same problem where a lot of vehicles were released and it naturally just became worse and worse. But it was one of the first vehicles to ever have like the crazy customization. Huge splitters, big spoiler, crazy skirts, even vents on it, and things all over the car. It just was like a race car almost, but I don't think it actually was a proper race car. It also sounds great, and it just was a good car at the time. I have seen a lot of people talk about the Khamelion, which is not removed. And this vehicle was electric when it came out, and probably was one of the better electric cars, but as time went on, it got replaced very easily. And this was a car that people told me it was like a special edition vehicle where you got the special edition of the game and you would get it, or it was a returning player vehicle for next-gen consoles. And same thing with the Carbon RS. It was just a bike. Pretty much the exact same story as a Khamelion. Returning player car, special edition vehicle. It's also not removed, but it's not a great vehicle. One car I'm surprised that isn't removed is actually the Monroe. It's not a great performing car, but it looks really good. Probably one of my favorite looking cars in the entire game, but I don't see a whole lot of people use it. The Penumbra is another removed vehicle, but you can easily just steal it off the street. And this is based off of an Eclipse, and I remember a lot of people using this back in the day as well. It has like really cool customization because it was one of the cars that was actually updated. You can get a really nice spoiler, nice splitters, nice skirts, and it can just look very nice. Another car I'm very surprised that isn't removed is the Penetrator. That's kind of the name of it. This was another viewer suggested vehicle. It isn't great, it just has a very unique name. The Rumpo Custom is kind of similar to the Guardian from earlier. Like, it looks really cool. Everything about it is nice. It's kind of just like a van version of the Guardian. It isn't removed, which is very surprising to me, probably because it's used in like cargo shipments and all that, where you deliver crates to your cargo warehouse. But other than that, I don't really see myself ever using this, and I don't really ever see it mentioned by the community at all. And people that have played the story mode probably remember the Hot Rod Blazer, because I can't remember if this is like an end game vehicle you would unlock, but I know that Trevor owned it. It isn't great, pretty sure it's removed, and I don't even know if this should be forgotten because I don't even know if it's memorable at all. One car people always ask me about in my most viewed video was the Viseris. Very nice looking car. I think it's based off a BMW M1, and this car can look very, very nice. The one downside is it is removed, and the handling and performance isn't really there, but I only bought it because it looks nice. This could be another curveball similar to the Terrorbyte. I'm doing the Ram Buggy. I don't really find the fun in ramping cars anymore, so I personally think it's forgotten. And because the Phantom Wedge is used in like Cayo Perico and all that now, and that was kind of like the comparable vehicle, I feel like the Ram Buggy slowly just isn't utilized anymore. The XA21 was another viewer suggested vehicle, and it is removed. The newer players are not going to know about it, but a lot of people liked it for the sound. Me personally, I didn't really care too much for the sound of it, but it still was a good car. If you used it for like stunt races and wall rides, it had really good traction. The speed wasn't really there, and the car didn't really have a whole lot of customization, but again, its sound was still pretty good. The Sandking SWB is a bit of a unique vehicle. I don't know if it was ever on the website at all, but a lot of people would buy the Sandking XL, which is the bigger version of this truck. The SWB is just like a shorter version. It's only 2 doors instead of 4 door. Performs the exact same as a normal Sandking, but you know, it's just shorter. And that's pretty much it. The Lectro was actually the very first vehicle in the entire game to have boost. And the only time you'd ever use it was in Pacific Standard Heist or the setup that was leading up to the heist that involved these bikes. There was nothing else to this bike besides the boost, so I don't know who in their right mind would ever get it. And the Liberator also is another unique vehicle where it comes and goes. It only really appears on the websites on July 4th or around Independence Day for the US, and it's just a monster truck that has United States livery. That's pretty much it. It acts the same as the Marshall, which I think is a free monster truck you can get, but I think it's still pretty cool to own. Now, the Cognoscenti Cabrio is a car that is removed as well, but I wish I owned it. It's a really fat vehicle, like the ETR one earlier, but it looks even weirder. The proportions are way off, but that's why I like it so much. Because it looks so weird, I think it's a car that should be remembered, but honestly, there's nothing really cool about it. The only time I'd ever think of it being used is in story mode in one of those missions, but I don't think it ever was. And then lastly, we have the FMJ, one of 2 or GTs in the game, but at the time when it was released, it didn't have a whole lot of customization going for it. All it really had was like a spoiler, and that was it. I wish you could have customized it a little bit more. Maybe it would have been not forgotten by that point if, you know, it had more flair to it, but didn't really have anything else going for it besides being a very uncommon vehicle in the game. And that has been 25 more forgotten vehicles in GTA Online. If you want to see a part 3 to this, I can make one, but that's the extent I'll go to this kind of like mini-series I have. There's many forgotten vehicles in the game, but I wanted to include ones that have purpose, and I can't really think of any more that have a purpose unless people suggest it. If you want to see one, let me know, and let me know what vehicles I should include on it. Or if you just have another cool idea, let me know as well. But that's been it. Hope you guys have a amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe out there. I love every single one of you.